Welcome back. We were discussing the story of Abdul Muttalib and the discovery of the well of Zamzam. So the people of Quraysh are surrounding him, and they have their weapons and they have their anger, and they want to take this well. And Abdul Muttalib begins to argue, I discovered the well, this is my well, I was the one who uncovered it. And so they're about to fight with one another, until they say, let us all go to a wise person in another city. They all knew this person, and that person will solve this debate. That person will resolve who is the one who owns this well. They all agreed to this. So they went on this journey. Again, that is a long story, we'll summarize it. On the way to that city, far away city, they miscalculated certain things, and once again they ran out of water. Once again they could not find any water, and they got lost on the road, and they lost hope of surviving. So much so that one of them said, let every man dig his own grave, because we are too weak. They didn't have water for days. We are too weak to dig each other's graves. Let us all dig our own graves and lie down, and we will die like this. Again, I'm summarizing because time is of the essence here. And so they all lied down in their graves, until Abdul Muttalib once again said, is this how men die? This is the death of cowards. We must at least attempt to go find water, even if we are weak. And so he jumped on his camel, despite the fact they had not had food or water for days. They were lost in the wilderness. He jumped on his camel, and as he galloped forward, miraculously, his camel hit a place on the ground where some water came out. And that water saved them. And they said, this is a sign from Allah. So they came back to Mecca, and the well was given to the property of Abdul Muttalib. And of course he shared it with the people, but the custodianship was his, the guardianship was his. And that added to his prestige. Eventually, many years later, Abdul Muttalib was blessed with many children. Almost 24 children. 10 of them were young, strong adults, males. And he gave an oath, a public oath, an oath that everybody knew about. He had given an oath, and the Arabs, they were honest people. They fulfilled their vows. And of course, this is a pagan society. He is not thinking the way Muslims think. This is pre-Islam. And he thinks, I must fulfill this oath. In Islam, if you make a haram oath, you don't fulfill it. It's haram. You're not supposed to give the oath. But this is Abdul Muttalib pre-Islam. And so he says, I must sacrifice one of these sons. He had many sons. The oldest was Harith. And Harith was with him when they dug the well. And there was also Zubayr and Abdullah and Abu Talib. 3 of them, full brothers. Abdul Muttalib had 5 wives. One of these women gave birth to 3 sons. Zubayr, Abu Talib, and Abdullah. And these 3 were full brothers. And the Prophet ﷺ is the son of Abdullah, as you know. Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib. Abdullah had a full brother, Abu Talib, who raised the Prophet ﷺ. We will come to that in our next episode. And there was another full brother, Zubayr. There were others as well. Abbas and Hamza were the most famous uncles of the Prophet ﷺ who accepted Islam. And Abu Lahab was an uncle who was the worst enemy of Islam. And so the Prophet ﷺ had many uncles. The most famous of them, his father was Abdullah. The most famous of them was his full brother, Abu Talib. Then he had half-brothers, meaning with different mothers, Abbas and Hamza. Both of them accepted Islam. Then there was another brother from a completely different mother, and that was Abu Lahab. These are the main brothers that were known in history. The rest of them, their names are known, but not much is known about their life and times. They died before the Prophet ﷺ became a prophet. And he had many aunts as well. The most famous of his aunts, meaning the brothers of Abdullah, the most famous was Safiya. Safiya accepted Islam, and she participated in many battles. This was the most famous aunt of the Prophet ﷺ. Point being, these were the 10 sons. What is to be done? He called the 10 sons, and he told them of what had happened. And he said, my dear sons, I have to fulfill the oath. It was a promise to God. I must do it now. What should I do? So they all agreed, and they said, whatever you decide, we agree to do this. And this was a good thing of the Arabs, loyalty. Whatever your father and mother said, the loyalty and respect is there. And so they said, we agree to whatever you decide. So Abdul Muttalib said, I think it is fair that we draw lotteries, draw lots. Which one of your name? We'll put a bag with your 10 names on it, and whatever name comes out, I will sacrifice that one. And they all agreed to this. So he wrote their names down, and he pulled one name out, and lo and behold, it is Abdullah. And Abdullah was the most beloved of his sons, to him and to the people of Mecca, because he was a handsome young man, a very polite, respectful, very eloquent, very gentle. He had all the characteristics that eventually will be passed down and perfected in his son Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so Abdullah's name came out. Without a word, he took the hand of Abdullah, he took a knife, and he walked in front of the Kaaba, and he laid him down, and he was about to sacrifice him. That was the promise. Until the people of Mecca came running. What are you doing? How can you kill your own son? And he said, do you not remember the promise I made? Do you not remember the vow? I made a promise to God, I have to sacrifice one son. They said, no, we have to find a way. We love this. This is a child, we all love him. Abdullah, it cannot be Abdullah. He said, I have chosen Abdullah from the lot. I cannot change this now. So they said, okay, let us go to a sorceress, a kahina, a sorceress, a fortune teller, a lady who was well known for divination and for black arts and this and that. Let us go to her, perhaps she will find a way out for us. So they agreed to this. The lady said, you have given an oath, but there is a way out. What is the way out? She said, put the name of Abdullah in the bag, and also the lots of 10 camels, write 10 camels on it. And say to Allah that if the name of the camels comes, I will sacrifice 10 camels instead of one person. But if the name of Abdullah comes, I will add another 10 camels. And I will continue to do this until I reach a number of camels that you think is equivalent to the life of one man. And so 10 lots with camels and 1 lot with Abdullah was put in the bag. Every time, out of all of this, every time Abdullah's name came out. Another 10 was added. Once again, Abdullah's name comes out. Another 10. Look at the statistics, but this is now, you are going to now, this is the way that they did it now. So they pulled out until 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, until 100 camels was reached. 100 camels is a fortune. We're talking about the equivalent of that time of millions of dollars. Lots of money. A camel is a price like a car. Imagine 100 cars in our times. This is a huge quantity of money. So Abdul Muttalib was forced to sacrifice 100, and as an act of appreciation, he did 120 more. 120 instead of Abdullah. And so this was a divine way of saving Abdullah from death. And Abdullah eventually married and had one son by the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We will talk about that in the future episode. But this is the second incident that raised the status of Abdul Muttalib and his son Abdullah amongst the Arabs. This act of saving Abdullah through this mechanism. The third incident is referred to in the Quran. There are 3 incidents that were famous. The first is the discovery of Zamzam. The second is the incident of Abdullah and saving him. And the third is the attack of the Kaaba. And we will summarize this in just a few minutes. There was a famous king of Abyssinia. The king of Abyssinia had many dominions, many governors. And one of the governors was a governor in Yemen. Abyssinia is across the Red Sea. Yemen is at the bottom of the Arabian Peninsula, if you look at the map. This governor of Yemen, his name was Abraha. And Abraha became jealous of the Kaaba. And he said, what is this structure in Mecca that people go to it in the middle of the desert, and they leave this luscious, green, beautiful Yemen that I live in, and they reject my city and country, and they go to the barren valley of Mecca. I shall build a better Kaaba than that Kaaba. I shall build a magnificent church. They were Christians. I shall build a magnificent church, and I shall make it so beautiful and so grand and so luxurious. Everybody will leave Mecca and they will come to my structure. And he built that